But this wrong idea that people have, there are many ways. Now I want to explain why Christianity is unique and why Jesus Christ is the only way. When babies are born, nobody's a Hindu or a Muslim or a Buddhist or a Christian. They're all babies. But as they grow up in different families, they are brainwashed by their parents into a particular religion and to believe certain things. They are taken to a temple or a mosque or a church or some other place, and they're forced to believe something and brainwashed through the years to believe those truths. So this is how I would witness to a non-Christian, how I would give an answer to why I believe what I believe. And I say, but there's one thing common about all of us, whatever religion we are, I tell him, and that is we have a conscience. It doesn't matter which religion you are. The conscience is exactly the same. Every single child, whatever their religion, their conscience tells them, even at the age of 2 or 3, when they tell a lie, that you're telling a lie. Any child, before they are brainwashed into being taught that a lie is not serious, every child in the world has a conscience that makes their face manifest that they're telling a lie when they've told a lie. They cannot hide it. I mean, by the time you're 17 or 18, you can disguise your face and tell a lie with a straight face. But you can't do that when you're 2 or 3 years old. That is a proof that God has put His voice in everybody's heart. And that through the years, however much we may suppress our conscience, that conscience tells us we have done many things wrong, whatever religion we may be. So I tell people when I witness to them, I say, I'm not preaching religion. I'm not preaching Christianity. You may have met lots of Christians who cheated you and deceived you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about our conscience that tells you that you've done many things wrong. You may cover it up, you may hide it from people, but your conscience keeps telling you, you violated God's laws. And then the next thing I say is, if your God is not absolutely holy, totally holy, whichever God you believe in, then the punishment for your sin would be something like sickness or poverty or some type of trial, earthly trial. But if your God is absolutely holy, and I believe that the God of this universe is absolutely holy, now I'm not talking about Christian, Muslim, anything, I'm talking about God, the creator of this universe, absolutely holy, there has to be only one way that He can punish sin, that He cuts you off from Himself, because sin breaks our connection with God. Even one sin. And think of all the sins you've committed, our connection with God is broken. That's the first thing. It doesn't matter what religion you are. Remember, this is how I'm witnessing to a non-Christian. And then I say, if God is also an absolutely righteous judge, like He is, and that justice of God is the foundation for all justice in the universe, He cannot be crooked. He cannot overlook something just because He loves us. If a judge's son comes there in the court, he cannot forgive him and overlook his crime just because it's his son. And God cannot. Many people overlook our sin. Many people say, why can't God forgive me just like my mom forgives me if I broke a plate or something like that? I say, if sin was only something like breaking a plate, God would forgive you straight away. But it's much more serious than that. Think of a judge who's sitting judging his son who's committed 100 murders. What's he going to tell him? Oh, you're my son, I overlook you. Overlook it? No. Sin is like that. When you see the seriousness of sin, that every sin is worse than committing 100 murders, in God's eyes, God cannot overlook it. That punishment has to be taken. And to use an illustration, if, for example, the punishment for a crime is, say, $1 million. Okay, my son, I fine you $1 million. That's what the judge says. And the son says, Dad, I don't have a cent. Well, you got to go to jail then. Having said that, he takes off his judge's robes, comes down and takes out his checkbook and writes out his entire life savings of $1 million and gives it to his son and says, son, go and pay the fine. He judged him as a judge and punished him as a father and paid the price as a father. I said, this is what God has done. He came in the form of man, Jesus Christ. He had to punish, but He took that punishment Himself, just like this father. Now there's only one thing that son has to do, and he has to do it. He's got to receive that check. If he's too proud to receive it, well, then the alternative is the punishment. And that's all that God asks you to do. Receive that freely. Think of the price. Remember this, Dad's giving his life savings. And God, when Jesus died, he was giving his life in order to save us. And then I say, there's not a single religion in the world, first of all, where any leader even claims that he was born of a virgin. The virgin birth is very, very important. Jesus